No doubt about it, San Saba County, nestled in the hill country of central Texas, is a special place. An abundance of natural beauty, wildlife, and rich history are just a few of the things that make San Saba County stand out. But perhaps the single most important resource that our county has is water. It is the water that has sustained our crops, wildlife, and livestock. Water that attracts Native American tribes and early settlers to form communities. The power of water that has turned water wheels to grind corn and wheat. And water that has provided recreational activities such as swimming and fishing. Water has been both our friend and our foe.
San Saba County is a history of fighting, controlling, and depending upon water.
It is the water that has formed our past and our present and made San Saba County the unique place that it is today. Eventually, the San Saba River empties into the Colorado River. The place where one river empties into another is called the mouth of the river. Confluence is another word for the place where two bodies of water meet. The confluence of the San Saba River and the Colorado River is in the eastern part of San Saba County next to the Mills County line. It is hard to imagine, but occasionally the San Saba River floods and the water gets so high that it covers all of Mill Pond Park and even the highway. One of the most memorable floods of the San Saba River was in 1938. The floodwaters covered most of the business district downtown and around the courthouse and spread to more than one-third of the city. At least 30 homes were washed away, and more than 300 people were driven away from their homes by the water. It is estimated that the flood of 1938 did between $1 and $3 million worth of damage. There were other big floods in 1899 and 1936. In spite of all the damage a flood can do, flooding is also a beneficial occurrence. Every time the river floods, it brings rich minerals and sediments that naturally fertilize the soils. The early farmers and ranchers in San Saba County depended on a flood every year to enrich the soil for their crops and livestock. We no longer have annual floods because dams have been built on the rivers for flood control. Now the San Saba River only floods after long periods of heavy rains. Dr. Burnham was right when he said that our history has been the story of fighting, controlling, and depending on the rivers. Flooding reminds us that we must always respect the rivers and waters for their power, beauty, and importance in our lives. The drought of 2011 was a cruel reminder of how important water is and how much we depend on this precious resource. The drought was a hard time for farmers and ranchers because there wasn't enough water for the livestock and crops. There have been other major droughts in San Saba County. The years 1953 through 1956 produced perhaps the worst economic disaster ever suffered in San Saba County. Did you know that cotton was once a major crop in San Saba County? But after prolonged drought and the plight of the boll weevil, cotton is no longer grown in the county. Floods, droughts, irrigation, communities, and wildlife. All are part of life in San Saba County along the rivers, but there is more to the water in San Saba County than meets the eye. Deep underneath San Saba County lie three aquifers. An aquifer is an underground formation of rock, gravel, or sand that filters and holds water and supplies water for wells and springs. The three aquifers in San Saba County are the Hickory, the Ellenberger San Saba, and the Marble Falls. We are fortunate to have two major rivers and three aquifers right here in our county. It's important for us to take care of these natural resources so that they will be here for future generations to use and enjoy. Rivers can actually get sick, and we want to keep our rivers healthy. That's why it's important to understand about watersheds. A watershed is an area of land from which the rainwater drains or sheds into a major river, then dumps into the ocean. What we do on the land in our watershed affects the water quality of our community and for all of the communities living downstream. Any fertilizers, paints, poisons, or other pollutants that we dump or use on our ground or in our streams endanger the health and quality of our water system. We can see all the natural beauty around us that the rivers and waters of San Saba County provide, But did you know that underneath the ground, our county has a vast cave system? There are more than 170 mapped caves in San Saba County. Caves in our county are formed by water. Acidic water trickles through cracks in rocks and gradually dissolves the limestone rock that we have so much of underground in San Saba County. When the water finds an outlet and drains away, it leaves a cave. Fast-moving water can also carve out caves through the process of erosion. Early man and Native Americans used caves for shelter and decorated them with some of the earliest known works of art. Not only are caves fascinating and beautiful, they are important to our ecosystem. Fungi, algae, and some mosses live in caves. Insects, reptiles, and bats are also uniquely adapted to the environment in caves. It is the responsibility of each generation to teach the next generation about the rivers and waters of our county so they can appreciate and care for these rich natural resources. The rivers and waters of San Saba County have truly shaped our past and formed who we are today.